Welcome to Start Lines and Swag Bags, presented by the Flying Pig Project. The airing of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended to replace advice from any medical, professional, or training staff. The Flying Pig Project is not affiliated with or in partnership with any other business, running clubs, coaches, or medical professionals. Thank you for listening and your support.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Start Lines and Swag Bags. First of all, if you're following my episodes in sequence, you know that there's been a lot of crying on the last few episodes. Either because my guest has cried and then my guest cried and caused me to cry. So we needed to shake things up. So how do we shake it up? We bring back a fuel swap. I don't know if any of you watched the video of, I had Rupesh and Rebecca on here, and my editor decided to drop some Easter eggs in the video. So I'm just going to give you that little hint. If you haven't watched it, you may want to go watch it, because apparently I stick my finger in the fuel not once, but twice. All right. You're going to love who's coming on this afternoon. Who watched the very first episode I ever did? It was in my living room back in Schaumburg. And it's clear that we've made some progress since that first episode, but I am very happy to bring back, not in my studio, in her own studio, Nicole, who was the first ever in-person guest. Nicole, welcome back to Start Lines and Swag Bags.
Thanks for having me back. Very excited to be here. Do I do intro at this point, or do you got another?
Yeah, for anybody who didn't see your first episode, tell us about yourself.
Hello, I'm Nicole. I'm back again. I am a runner on the fast track racing team and leadership, I think, since last time. So promotions are available. And yeah, have a lot more races under my belt since we last spoke. So nutrition is definitely going to be an interesting topic of discussion. But who is with me, Rachel? Who is joining for the first time? If we're talking about all sorts of firsts today.
We're popping the podcast cherry. That's my new way to phrase that. Did you see her face? Nicole, introduce your guest.
This is Becki. Becki is also on Fast Track Racing Team. For those who cannot see us but only hear us, we have our product placement of the Fast Track Racing Team water bottle. She's excellent. She's magnificent, and I will let her describe more of what makes her just so.
All right, so I'm Becki, and I've been on Fast Track for, over 5 years now, on and off at the beginning because of injury and did I really belong here kind of questions. But which is funny because actually I've been running since I was on my high school cross country team. So, I took some time off in college because who doesn't? If you're not running for a team, why would you do more than party, right? Study. And and then I moved here, and then I ran a little bit before, and my friend and I used to do like obstacle races and mud races and all kinds of fun stuff. And then I had children, and that took a while because I had 3 in 3.5 years. So then I was kind of busy there, and then I came back, and then we did some more obstacle races, and then I hurt myself, and then I came back again. So it's up and down, but I've been back for good for quite a while. So I brought visual aids here.
We love visual aids on the pod.
Documentation.
Can you describe it for those who are listening?
Yeah. So because it's swag bags and start lines, right? I don't keep a lot of the swag, but what I always do is I keep my bibs. And then I love photos. So, and I got these like plastic thingies. I don't know what they are, holders. So I put the bib in there with a photo that was like taken at the race. And then I stick it to the wall behind, like in my office. So for a while we had our kids running before they got old enough to realize running for churros at kids club was not enough. So this was actually at one of the kids, the fast track, the extra mile run club. This was their final race. More serious one was just a real running picture with me with my jersey. But then one marathon I did, yay, marathon. And because I'm cheap, I just printed the photo with all the thing on it. I just screenshotted it.
So kids, that's what we did before the Strava to show your cred. You got real life kudos.
That is such a good way to store your bibs. I love that you have like a photo with the bib to like remind you of the experience. So in your introduction, you said a little phrase that I hooked onto, and I was like, "Oh, that's coming back." And it was, "Do I belong here?" I'll never do this. I would love to like go on a Wednesday night, and I would love to be like, "All right, everybody, close your eyes. Any of you who ever thought you didn't belong here, please raise your hand." And I think we would be astonished at the amount of people that raise their hands and the amount of people who ask themselves that question. And it doesn't just apply to, middle pacers, fast people, walkers, runners. It doesn't even matter. Because how you identify as a runner, your own self-confidence is going to determine if you belong there or not your ability. It's all in your head. At least it's in my head. All right. So what we're going to dive into first, before we get to the fun stuff, is we're talking about nutrition, and we're talking about teaching, not necessarily teaching, but leading other people, in their journeys into running, and why fueling and hydration is important. Now, I know when I first started, I didn't do anything, and actually I'll still go out for maybe an hour and a half, and I won't bring anything. Don't do that. Because I do know better, but some people just don't have a clue as to nutrition. So Nicole, you start. What did your nutrition / hydration epiphany journey happen?
So I was kind of wrangled into a half marathon because my friends are like, "Oh, it's Avengers themed. You should do this race." And I'm like, "Cool. What's a half marathon?" So clearly off to a great start. And they were avid runners, so I think that the two people I trained with, they were pretty much like well versed in what they needed for themselves. But at no point until like weeks before the race, they mentioned, have you been taking like gel or goo or anything? And I'm like, those are words. What does that also mean? Because as far as I knew, it sounded like sludge. And I think it was like 2 weeks before the first half marathon. One of them handed me a goo, just one for me to try at some point. But I also took it out on race day. So I had the one that they gave me at the start and then nothing else the rest of the race. And I learned real quick. I was like, oh, this is kind of its purpose and intent. So then it progressed a little, not a lot, over the next few years. Then I joined Fast Track in 2023, and everybody's talking about their different plans and whatnot, and hearing their paces and things like that. It was very fascinating to see how people adapted to specific types of fuel and things like that. So now it's much improved. But it's interesting to try and figure out what science makes sense for me, based on my pace and everything. So we're still learning.
When we're talking about, science, it's not only what works best for your pace. Let's boil it down. It's not what works best for your pace. It's what works best for your tummy. Let's cut to the chase. It's what can your system handle you taking in and still performing at the same level you were prior to trying to eat it.
No
That's
porta potty planning if possible. It's a lot of peas.
um exactly. I could not read your mind anymore. Okay, so you figured out that you needed to work some in because you recently completed, if memory serves, uh, the first half marathon in many years, correct?
Correct. And I think even on your podcast, I'm like, I'd hope to do one someday. And someday came and went in May. And it was very different. It was probably a bit excessive, but I was kind of nervous and was training with it. So every 3 miles or 30 minutes, whichever came sooner, I popped in a little gummy and I would have water and Gatorade. Sometimes as it was getting a little bit warmer, it was pretty cool overall, but keeping in mind how much of to take of each and whatnot, and it felt great and it was awesome to finish. And I'm like, okay, tummy is still good. Tummy is in good standing. Tummy does not immediately screaming to go somewhere and relieve myself. So I'd say we've come a very long way.
She discovered that she needed to up her fuel game and early on was able to discover something that worked for you, which can happen. It's not, I don't want to say it's common or not. I don't know how common that is. Um, were you of a mindset that like you tried one and that worked, so that's what I'm sticking with?
Kind of, and not that I didn't want to try others. I think I'd shared with a couple other teammates their choice fuel, and I just would run out of whatever I had, and I just kept buying the same thing. And I was like, well, I think it's working, but I don't look at my Strava too often. I'm not super data driven, so I was just like, well, we'll see how it goes. I'm very much like, we'll see how this works, and then having the ultimate test be like the race day kind of thing. So it was interesting, and like I shaved almost like about 17 minutes off my previous PR for half, which was awesome. Thank you, by the way, which was awesome. Don't know if that's a direct factor of it, but I think it helped me be more confident because I went in with a plan for everything. So then it wasn't so much of a mystery or discovering in real time, which I do.
Um, well, first of all, if something works for you, you don't change it. That was my number one thing. When I did help customers and people would come in, the words that always like caused my heart to like clench would be, I want to try something new. Why? Why? Is what you have working? Yes. Why are we changing? Whether it's, this could be shoes, this could be socks, this could be nutrition, it could be Gatorade, it could be Scratch, it could be anything. Is it working? Yes, but I want to try something new. What's it not doing? Oh no, it works fine. Okay. What can I sell you? That's pretty much how it is. So I agree with your strategy. I have grown in a way that I'm very much like you. I know it works, I know it doesn't. And why mess around with something else if I have something good? All right, Becki, your epiphany, your fueling epiphany.
Well, so it's kind of twofold. Because I ran in high school back in the 90s. I don't, and also we were teenagers, right? I don't know. Nobody talked about really much of anything except like, yes, you should drink water, right? I don't even think we drank Gatorade. I don't know. We didn't really do a whole lot, but water was very important, and I did learn that as a freshman. Not a personal experience, but so I was a freshman when my brother was a senior, and we were both on the team. And I don't know if it's still like this, but guys and girls trained together. So one of his best friends ran a race, and he was like one of our best runners, and he was like, like the National Honor Society, super polite guy, like very, very respectful of everybody. Okay. And then he didn't drink enough water. But he won the race. Okay. He won the meet. And after he finished, he started belting out, "We are the champions," at the other team. And then, which is like very out of character for him, you know, and then he got back to our tent and like collapsed basically. Oh. he was very dehydrated. And he had to like get, it was, so that was my first, so we had a big lecture about why, you know, why is hydration good, because it can do funny things. So I was always very good about drinking water, but I didn't know anything about like fueling stuff until actually, so in high school, when I was in high school, girls ran 4Ks. So we didn't, when we trained, even when we trained longer than a 4K, which is 2.4 miles, we weren't running more than 5 miles. So you didn't, there wasn't really that kind of, unless it was like a long run, which still, me and my friends found a shortcut to like go by the railroad track. So we would go last and then everybody would go and then we would come down. So we would significantly shorten our runs. Anyway, so I clearly didn't need fuel there either. But anyway, so didn't really do a whole lot where you needed long amounts of fuel. Then even when you're running like the obstacle courses, I was like for fun and I'm just going out, you know, just as long as I got water, it's fine. And then, so I really had only done a 5K, you know, 5Ks or whatever the obstacle courses were, you know, whatever. And then, and I had no plans to run long. No, these are fun. I like to be fun. This is just fun. And then I was I was somewhere and they did this whole motivational thing about running a marathon for World Vision, which is a fundraiser for water. And I was like, yep, gonna do it. So I went home. I was like, hey, honey, I'm gonna run a marathon. He's like, what? I'm like, I signed up already and we're doing the thing. And he's like, okay, that's cool. And then I started running and people were like talking about fuel. And that's when I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so then they're like, well, goo. So I was like, great. So here's where my story differs from Nicole's. I started running and I would have a goo and then I would be like, you know what's super weird? I can't run more than an hour without having major issues. So I started planning my running routes around porta potties. The gym, that the community gym had a bathroom I could use. What the parks in the baseball and softball diamonds, they have outhouse or porta potties. The construction sites that were like public, you know, not, I'm not going on in people's houses to use their porta potties in their backyard, but
only if necessary.
Because I tell you what, after you don't make it to a porta potty once, you realize that that is more important than anything. So so yes, I just admitted on air.
So, you know how you know, like tell me a runner without telling me you're a runner? Here's my route. What are those little X's? Yeah, those are bathrooms.
I mean, runners are probably super grateful in Chicago that we have 2 seasons, winter and construction, because then so many of them, so many porta potties just appear like magical, mystical things.
But yes, so to go back, to circle back to, I finally after about, I don't know, 2 weeks, like way a stupidly long time, realized it probably wasn't that I was running for an hour. It was that I had a goo 10 minutes before or 20 minutes before, whatever it was. And that was actually the problem. Once I figured that out finally, I decided, well, that's not happening again. So I experimented with some other things. I have IBS, so that is also an issue. I just, you know, you like, everybody's like, oh, goo. And I'm like, well, if everybody does it, I should be able to do it too. And so I didn't even look at like, what is goo? What does it do for you? Why does this sludgy stuff work for people? Like, why might it not work for someone with sensitivities? Then I started Googling everything because I was like, well, I didn't learn anything before, so now I'm going to learn all the things. So I was really trying to figure out like what kind of stuff, and also I didn't have a job at the time, which is the only reason I think I had the time to do the marathon, because I happened to get laid off, and so I was like, oh, perfect timing. It's now long run season, and so
There's the optimism. Beautiful silver lining.
so then I was just reading what other people do and different things, and I have a surprise one. I have. We don't have to try them.
Should I shade my eyes?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
This is the generic, but they're little mini kind of bars. So it's got the chocolate on the one side. I can open it later when we're at that point. But it's got the nuts and the chocolate. So, and I knew I would eat those all the time if I needed just a quick thing, because they're only 100 calories. So I was like, oh, I have them. So I would do that. And those work pretty well. So sometimes I like them before a race more than anything. I tried to stroopwafel and nearly choked to death. They're delicious, but
That to me is the most ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. On a cup of coffee, it's brilliant, lovely. During a race, that is the dumbest fuel anybody can use.
yeah, I was glad I did not run out of water at that point, because I was like coughing and I was like, wow, this was a bad idea. So I tried that, and then I just ate the rest of them like for desserts, like because they're delicious. Just not while I'm running. And then what did I else I try? Gummy bears. I've had gummy bears. And then I decided on the thing that I've got, which I'll stay quiet on. But I do I do say I do energy gummies too. I do those sometimes. Here's what I've learned. I will say, if you are all concerned that you may shit your pants during a run, try the fuel at home. Maybe around, if you want to be moving, like just find a track with a porta potty, or just walk around, like not even very far from your house, 2 minutes away from a bathroom while moving, because sitting is different. If you sit and eat it, it might not be the same as when you're moving, right? Walk around the library. That's a pretty big building usually.
Does it change in size?
No, I mean, the library has a bathroom, but you're walking, and it's not like you, because if you were like, oh, I'm going to go for a walk outside, then you have to ask your neighbor to use the bathroom, right? And that's awkward if you don't know your neighbor.
You know what? That is actually a very good tip. You know, I've always, anytime I've ever bought like fuel of any kind, I've always tried it at home just to try it, because I do have some texture issues. So that can come into play. I mean, if I can't figure out how to swallow something, in my kitchen, hold on, I'm going to get past this.
Did you move again?
If I can't swallow it in my kitchen, it may not happen on race day. That's all I'm saying. I don't know where all your minds went. Look, y'all know I suffer sometimes. I forget my words. All I'm saying is, if you can't eat it at home, you can't eat it on the road. Okay.
We did. You landed the plane beautifully.
That being said, and that's all staying in the podcast. So this is the part of the show where we try each other's fuel. Now, so what's going to happen is Nicole has a little baggie. In the baggie is Becki's fuel and a surprise. And in Becki's bag is Nicole's fuel and a surprise. I am trying Nicole's. Did y'all see that eye roll? I am trying Becki's, and then I will talk about the super special one we're all trying. So you may open up your bags. Please try to make as much sound as possible so that, those listening, hear.
the suspense is killing me.
Oh my
And also,
goodness.
it's like triple knotted. What did you do?
I'm filling the void of silence with.
You could probably just stick your finger in it and rip it open.
All right, oh, the back. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Rachel.
Yes. All right. Can we look in? Is it like a blind?
Absolutely.
It feels like did you do a peeled grape? Sorry.
It feels squishy.
You can open your eyes and you can take them out.
All right.
All right.
Ooh.
So Becki, hold on. We're gonna do Becki first. So Nicole, you hang tight. Okay, Becki, what are you? I got it too. What are we holding in our hands that we get to try?
All right. So I've got Cherry Blossom Honey Stinger Energy Chews, and they are trusted by 2,000 plus pro and college teams. So that's what's on the package. That's what
fabulous endorsement.
That's what is on here.
Now, it's something that has come up in the past when we talk about a pack of fuel is, and you can all see how close I got to look. There are 2 servings. They're not. That's wrong. Hold on. It says about 2 servings because it says 1 serving, which is 6 chews, is 100 calories, and the whole package is 160 calories. So there's obviously 12 in the bag.
There's not, because if you had 6 chews for 100 and then the second 6 chews for another 60 calories, clearly they're wrong.
There's 9. There's 9. So what somebody needs to understand is this whole packet is 160 calories. Now, I think the mystery fuel that I did on the last episode, the whole thing was 160 calories and it was a gel. So obviously it's much faster to eat. I'm not going to eat all 9 of these things at a time. But Becki, why don't you rip that package open?
All right. I'm opening the package. All right. Our gummy big. Do I eat it now or am I waiting?
Okay. So like when I'm squishing this, like to me, it's not as firm as a gummy bear.
No, it's softer than a gummy bear. That's good.
It is softer than a gummy bear.
Stuck.
Yes. And that's a huge thing. So, I do have a texture issue. I don't like them firm. So let's just put this in our mouths and eat it because
all right. Okay. It's got a good flavor. It's got a good mouth feel. It's not sticky. So I've just eaten the whole thing. Now, granted, I was not running while I was doing this or walking, but I was able to swallow it without trouble, unlike that Stroop waffle. And none of it stuck to my teeth. So I'm not going to be running and trying to dislodge anything. I like it.
I tried these. I tried a different flavor on a different episode. And when I just did this, I was like, oh, there's like nothing stuck in my teeth.
I like it.
But let me ask you this now, because I know what you use.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, for fuel. Imagine 1 serving, you have to now do 6 of those. What's your thought?
I would not do them all at once. I don't think. So I feel like how would I would have to experiment before race day, obviously, as to how to physically get these out of whatever I was carrying them in without dropping them. And then
ask your friend there.
I'll ask, but I'm just saying this is what I'm thinking, right?
I'm curious, like, how are we handling these?
You eat at a time. Like, do you space them out, or do you eat 6? Like, oh, it's been 30 minutes. You said you eat 1 every mile or something?
So I did. So I was to say, did we want her to keep guessing, or is it okay for me to tell her how I did it?
Okay. I'm wondering how do you eat these?
So I legitimately I'll keep the bag because I think the best advice someone gave is the packaging it came in is usually like what maintains the product. First, you could put in a plastic bag if you have to, like if you don't have the space. On that day, I was able to have a pocket where I could put it. And then that also, like, because it's not super sticky. You guys also touched on the thing. My dad was a dentist, so subconsciously, I am constantly thinking about anything that is sticking to my teeth. And this one for sure, it just kind of bypassed it. I do just one little gummy 10 minutes before the race starts. And then I take one every 3 miles or 30 minutes, whichever arrives sooner, and for the remainder of the race. If it's a 5K, I just do the one before and then that's it. And yeah, that's kind of it. And the cherry blossom flavor is my favorite. I just started the orange blossom and it was very good. Hoping to work my way to the pomegranate because I love pomegranate everything.
That sounds delicious.
Right? It's pomegranate and passion fruit, I think. So I'm like, say less, honey stinger, say less.
Okay, hold on a second. My question is to Nicole with the one before and one every 30 minutes. If somebody who can actually see, because I can't, what is the recommended time that you should be taking that fuel?
So that's kind of the funny thing. And I wonder if they've updated their packaging. They don't actually have it written on here. The literal instruction is, and it drives me insane, is best consumed during activity. Like, thank you. Had no idea.
Well, I do have to say there is, okay, so along with that, there are 3 words: prepare, perform, and recover. And the word perform is highlighted. So this is clearly the product you use during performing, not preparing or recovering. So Nicole is using it incorrectly when she just uses it to prepare.
I'm disregarding the design aspect. So I'm overriding my brain because of text hierarchy.
Okay. So actually, Nicole, thank you for verifying that. In fact, that package does not actually, because all of the other packages that I have ever seen of that type of fuel would lead me to believe that you were under fueling. Again, this is just me reading packages. This doesn't mean anything. You do what works for you. All right. So Nicole, please show Becky's, and I have it too, fuel of choice.
Very excited because it's called Happy Baby, which promises that I too will be a happy baby upon consumption, right? I'm assuming, is that not their tagline?
Yes, but here's some things I would like to talk about. So this is 4 ounces. It's organic sweet potatoes, mangoes, and carrots. That was the flavor that she told me. Now this whole packet, this is a pretty large packet, is just 70 calories.
Boy, crack this bad boy open. Oh, can I open it? Okay, it gotta work a little. Sorry.
Child safety.
So yeah, it says a third cup of sweet potato, an eighth of mango, and a third of carrot. I like all of those in equal measure. So excited. Bottoms up. Wait, am I doing the whole thing? Whole thing?
No,
That is completely up to you.
Do we shot it?
Do whatever
Is that
you
the
like.
correct verb?
I think you should wait for the first taste and then decide.
Oh, Rachel does not like it.
Oh, Rachel is a no.
So I have to tell you, I have not had this brand before, because so I don't know I get the generic because I'm cheap. So you got the expensive one.
You got fancy.
Well, you sent me this is the one you sent the picture of.
I know. Well, I was just giving you, yes, because I didn't have a picture of the generic. You don't have to keep trying. Your face said it all the first time.
Well, okay, Nicole, you go first, and then I'll.
So it's funny because I actually don't mind it. So with the consistency, it's very soupy. So you're not getting anything granular or anything like that. Not quite like applesauce. So you don't have, and I'm using this very generously. There's no roughage of any sort. So if you are a 6 month plus runner, good news. It'll be so easy to consume. as they do at 6+ months. Um, but the flavor's pretty good because it's not super sweet. It's not like, and I mean, like with mango, that's probably going to be your sweetest, but you get a little bit of there. For some reason, I feel like I would have this on a cracker. I don't know why. I think it's just we're in my, I don't know, we're in my mom's dining room and my brain is like, oh, it's fancy because it's fancy baby food. How would a
Yeah.
fancy
How are you
baby?
going to have that on a cracker?
I don't know. Well, it's smaller than a stroop waffle.
Don't put it on a stroop waffle.
So, okay. First of all, I did start by saying I have a texture version, and to me that it is obviously as pureed as can possibly be because it's baby food for 6 month plus. But that consistency, just it's thick. It is thick.
So I have a question, Rachel. Yours is stored in your home, correct?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Yours is currently stored like in your home. It's not like you're pulling it.
That's correct.
And so it's like room temperature cooler.
Yes.
Okay.
It's room temperature.
I pulled this out of my car just before we started, so tis a bit warm, but so I'm sorry. Please don't throw up on your nice shiny microphone on account of my descriptive language.
And it was probably also a little thinner, not as
Maybe
goopy.
only one way for me to find out if you got another.
So can I? Do you want me to tell you how I use it?
Of course.
Okay, so they are big packages and they have this big knob on the top. So it is a little bit harder to pack in a way than a gummy or something like that because of this and then the fluid. But it is squishy, so it can fit in your pants pocket or whatever. You can stop trying them.
Please don't feel like you must consume, Rachel.
I do this on every episode because now I'm hungry.
But the reason I like them is like Nicole said, this flavor is not very sweet. And that's the one thing about these gummies that there's like a lot of sweetness still in my mouth. And so while I'm running, as my mouth gets drier, I don't like to have a lot of the sweet sitting in my mouth because I don't drink a whole lot while I'm running. Like I might have one of these and then take a swig if I need to, but if I don't need to, I won't. So that's what I like about these, that they're less sweet.
I think after we try this last one, I think we're all going to agree on that. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the story of this fuel. Now, the first episode ever, the fuel swap, Marty and John were on, and Marty uses a gel called Morton, Maurten, and that sucker's $4 a pop, $4. Okay, so back in April, we were in Oak Park. We were there for good life, and I happened to be in the gym with Dan and Ivan. All right, and Ivan, shout out because I know you listen, so come on the show, please. Um, and we were talking. I don't know how we got on the topic. Oh, I do know. Ivan had one of these like sticking out of his mouth or something. So I said, "Hey, do either of you use Morton?" Now, let's stress right here and now that your level of running ability and fitness does not decide what fuel you use. Okay? You can use Morton if you're a fast runner, you can use it if you're a slow runner. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's pure taste and preference. With that being said, Dan looked at me straight in the face and he goes, "I'm not paying $4 for anything. That's so bougie." I was like, okay. And then he and Ivan realized that they used the same brand. And I said, "Ivan, what flavor are you eating?" He looks at me dead in the face. And if you know Ivan, you got to put Ivan in your head right now. He looks at me, he goes, "Tutti Frutti." And I lost it. And he's like, "I have one. Would you like one?" And then Dan offered to give me 3 of them so that I could. So this is Fuel the Fast Track Elite. And that has nothing to do with anything. It is called Science and Sport. If I'm not mistaken, you cannot go into a store and buy this. You do have to get it online through the company. But it's like $2 each. Those of you who can, if you can look at the package, what's the calorie count on this package?
87.
What? Did you say
87.
87?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we said it together at the same. Jinx.
Or I owe you more baby food.
Yeah.
A gel that's 87 calories. Like, who needs that nightmare? Okay. And we are going to be trying salted strawberry.
Yum yum.
All right. Are you ready? Yeah,
All right.
we're all going in. Well, I gotta put the mic down.
Yeah, open the top. Did
All
you?
right. I did.
That's important. Keep in mind, that's important. If you can't open the top, that's a factor.
Is yours open?
A little bit.
I think you got a tiny bit. There we go.
Were you able to rip the tab off?
I did. But I'm very strong, Rachel.
And I am not, as indicated by these noodles. Becki, let's do a side by side for hilarity. Look at that. Look at that. She truly is a Viking, and I'm just trying to exist as a noodle. Did you get goo out of it? I got more liquid.
It's not gooey. It's like watered down applesauce or yogurt, watered down yogurt. But
okay, I was like going to be funny. I hope that would. I'm still like cranking it open. I still haven't gotten it. So, Becki, what do you think?
It's like watery yogurt. The taste is all right.
Oh.
However, it's going to have an aftertaste that I will hate in about half a mile. And I know this because I can taste it, and also confirmed by the fact that it's sucralose.
I'm trying really hard to like it, and I don't. Maybe more.
You know what? You and Rachel are the same. If you don't like it, you're not going to like it more by eating it more often. But if you didn't like it to start,
let's be fair. Okay, Becki, I'm sorry. Can you give me your review?
So my review of this is that I don't have a texture problem. So it's like very watery yogurt, or like not like water sitting on top of yogurt, but like you added water to yogurt and then stirred it up.
Rachel, no, please don't.
You can't try it, make those faces, and want me to give like a serious review while you're like,
and it froze at a very specific spot.
So so consistency is fine for me. It's very thin, similar to what I have, so that's not a problem. I liked that it was easy to swallow. In that regard, for me, this would be a no-go because of the aftertaste. Like I was saying, it will sit terribly for pretty quickly. It's already, I want to get a drink, and then I confirmed it because it has sucralose, and that is for me personally.
Okay, Nicole, go ahead.
And so first I did struggle getting the top off, and I imagine if I were running and just trying to get it open, like,
if you have sweaty hands,
right,
forget about it.
Could I do it? And even if I flip the other way, like if this is the only fuel that I brought with me and I still can't get the damn thing open and my teeth aren't the sharpest because of my herbivore ways, I suppose. I can never I can't rip packages. Again, dental stuff from my dad. I'm afraid to use my teeth as a utensil other than chewing normal food. So getting past that point, it's a good amount of like product, but I don't know if I care for the consistency. I think like if you're in a hurry and if you are acclimated to opening it, you could probably get like a really quick swig out of it if you wanted to. I think even the packaging, if you wanted to roll it or something, you might be able to. I don't know how messy that is. I would probably have a second bag if that's how you're using it, if you're not doing it in one fell swoop. Um, yeah, I don't know about the flavor. I don't it's not a favorite, but I don't know. I'd be interested to try other flavors just to see the variation or find out, am I supposed to do something beforehand? Like, am I running the last quarter mile just shaking like a maraca and then it's improved? I don't know. Like, does it activate anything?
I'm just gonna pass on this.
Oh, say it again, Becky.
I said I'm just gonna pass. Unlike the two of you, I'm not going to keep trying something I know I don't like.
Okay, hold on. So when it when it comes to certain foods, and fuel is one of them, I do tend to uh, do that because one of the things I'm thinking of is, if I did have the whole thing, how would I feel? That being said, um, I can understand why this would be a popular choice. It reminds me of, I don't remember, I think it's a particular kind of goo where oh, I have one in the cabinet. Oh, it's a UCAN. And it's bigger, but you can slosh that stuff around, and it goes down probably much easier, much quicker, than swallowing a whole wad of goo at a given time. But that being
I agree. I
said,
think if
no.
it was texture-wise, I would prefer this to a goo. The goo is very, very thick, and sometimes it does get a little bit hard to swallow. This would be very easy to ingest. So I agree with that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've tried other ones that I am much more against. This doesn't go in like my bottom choices. If you actually had to hand me this or the Happy Baby, I'm taking the I'm taking this, the Science and Sport, over the Happy Baby. Um, yeah,
All right. Fill yourself with
that's all.
fake chemical goodness.
I wasn't aware we were shaming. I was told this was a safe podcast
Oh
space.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did just I food shamed you. No, but it was a joke. It was a joke.
And with that, there goes any potential I ever had of securing any one of these items as a sponsor. Kidding. That actually came up in the last episode too, as we trash one of the brands. All right, so Becky, you tried Nicole's Fuel of Choice, which is the Honey Stinger Cherry Blossom, and you tried the Thank you for donating fuel to my show from Dan, the Salted Strawberry Science in Sport fuel. What are your takeaways from trying two different fuels that you maybe didn't use before?
Well, one thing I liked is that they were very different. Obviously, one is a gummy, and one was a liquid almost. So that was kind of nice to very different mouthfeel. Um, I, in terms of, I would definitely do the honey stingers. I really liked them. Probably for a shorter um, races or somewhere where I would have fuel where I could rinse my mouth out because it did keep the sugary feel in my mouth. Um, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad feel. I don't think there's. It's actually. It looks like there's sugar, syrup, and honey. So it didn't have that chemically aftertaste. I would not. I would pass on this SIS. Simply for, well, two things. One, I have a feeling that I would need to find a porta potty pretty quickly if I finish this. I could be wrong, but stuff like this kind of makes me nervous. But two, the chemical flavoring aftertaste of the sucralose is 100% no go for me. I would not like to be running with that in my mouth as time goes on.
Fair point. Okay, Nicole, you tried Happy Baby baby food, and you tried also the Thank you for donating to the podcast Science and Sport salted strawberry flavor. What are your takeaways?
It's just interesting kind of doing a different take. Not that it's goo, but just kind of going back to, I think as former Nicole had once called it sludge. Having a different take on it. Um, from like the packaging size, so I'll take it back out. From the packaging size, I think the only issue that I would have would be like where would I put it based on like what I'm wearing if it's like the hotter seasons maybe because my shorts
Now that's the baby food. We got to make because
the
the
baby
baby
food
food's the one you're
exactly.
commenting on the size.
Yeah, so the baby food, I think that's really the kind of only thing. I do like that even you're very conscious about like the sustainability, how to recycle it and whatnot too. Um, but I think I would definitely try like different flavors of this and just see how it works. For me, because remind me again, did you say you do a whole thing?
I do. I
Okay.
stop and I walk for about 30 seconds
Okay.
while I suck it down.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I decide not to finish it, I can put the
Put it
cap
back.
back on, which is
Okay.
nice. Unlike some of the other ones where you're just that's it.
Yeah.
You got to commit.
Yeah, and I like the cap on it. I think that is nice, especially if people were utilizing it in a different way, like if they just needed energy sort of thing, and we're like, oh, I have it here, so I might as well use it. I would reach for that probably over the, so sorry, Dan, um, the science and sport packaging. One, the fact that I couldn't get it open just sitting and doing absolutely nothing is a bit of a concern. And also, like, if I did have to rip it, is it going to go everywhere because it is so liquidy? Um, and if I'm supposed to do something beforehand with it to kind of make it less liquidy, but I think you're right, Becky. The more I like touch and shake, it feels very consistent. I think if for people who may have a texture issue and just want to shoot something on the gullet, this is probably a really good alternative. I would like to try another flavor, maybe just to see if that's a consistency or not. But yeah, I just probably not my favorite. Probably won't reach for it, but just interesting to try a more liquid version of fueling that's not water and or Gatorade or um, electrolyte supplements mixed into your water sort of thing.
And you both make really good points. And here's the thing, there are as many different fuel options as there are people who need fuel. Um, you know, not liking a particular like I did not like the baby food. I could not tolerate the goo that I tried on the last episode, but that doesn't make anything good or bad. The whole point of this series as well is to understand that there is other stuff out there, and maybe this is just like a more safe place to try it because you're not expected to now go outside and do a full-on track workout because it's Tuesday. So we're not running today. I will say my takeaway. I think I may land on the honey stingers for now. I got to be honest. Um, I'm good with that. The baby food, that's a no. No, no. Again, I know people who actually like carry around mashed potatoes. So I mean, it all depends what avenue you'd like to take for your nutrition. As for the salted strawberry, interestingly enough, you asked me why I kept having more. Well, now I've sat with some in my system for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I feel fine. Like I don't actually expect there to be a visceral reaction, is the proper term. Um, so would I maybe try a different flavor? I probably would. So Ivan, if you got any extra tutti frutti, we'll see you at 4 on the 4th. All right. With that, I hope you both enjoyed your time on the podcast.
For having us.
Thanks for bringing me back.
I think we have created one that definitely will not make me cry. It may make me blush several times. All right. That being said, thank you both for being on the show. Thank you for being willing to try different things because you don't necessarily know what the other person uses, and you certainly don't know what I'm going to be giving you. Um, And thank you for the product placement early on. I appreciate that. Oh, she's gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
Flying Pig product.
What's that?
Thank you,
The
Rachel.
Flying Pin Project product. Contact me if you need anything customized. All right. Thank you, Becki and Nicole, for coming on the show. Thank you for coming with an open mind and trying new things. Everybody else, as I always say, you have to embrace the crazy to unlock a world of possibilities. It applies so many different facets of your life, and you really just never know what's going to happen. I mean, I think back to Nicole's first episode to now, and it's a completely different world for the podcast. So thank you all so much for listening. We'll see if reactions are going to work today. Are they going to work? Hold on. Really? Do I not have them on?
It might not be.
Oh, there we go. I got a thumbs up. All right.